各位新聞界嘅朋友，歡迎大家出嚟今日嘅記者會。我哋嘅官員有行政長官梁振英、政務司司長林鄭月娥、保安局局長黎棟國、警務處處長曾偉雄、保安局副局長李家超、警務處副處長括弧行動黃志雄。而家我哋首先請行政長官梁振英講幾句説話。
I shall start with a Chinese message and then do a quick recap in English. 跟住咧，我會請我嘅同事咧逐一發言，然後咧接受大家提問。多謝各位新聞界嘅朋友過嚟。我知道今日過嚟咧路上都有啲塞，所以咧今日個記者會咧，我哋遲咗少少開始嘅，唔好意思嚇。各位香港市民、各位新聞界嘅朋友，就佔中運動宣布正式啟動違法嘅佔領中環行動，並且要求人大常委會撤回8月31日有關香港政改嘅決定。及我作為行政長官重新啟動政改諮詢。我同特區政府一直以嚟細心聆聽市民嘅意見，鼓勵市民以和平、理性同埋守法方式表達訴求，並尊重同埋包容社會上不同嘅意見。特區政府堅決反對佔中運動嘅組織者同埋參與者以違法嘅方式佔領公共地方，警方會繼續依法處理。我想強調，根據佔中發起人嘅設計，佔中係以違法手段，以癱瘓香港核心地區運作，以達到脅迫中央同埋特區政府嘅行動。呢個唔係一般嘅市民意見表達嘅方式，而係違法嘅脅迫行為。全國人大常委會有關香港政改嘅決定係嚴格按照基本法相關規定，同埋詳細同埋慎重考慮過香港特區嘅實際情況同埋香港社會各界意見而作出嘅，係具法律效力嘅。全國人大常委會已經決定香港特區可以喺2017年開始以普選方式產生行政長官。呢個係香港政制向前邁出非常重要嘅一步，必定比現時由1200名選舉委員會嘅委員選舉原地踏步嘅方式好得多。特區政府會按照基本法同埋全國人大常委會嘅有關決定，全力推動落實2017年普選行政長官。我哋會喺短期內啟動下一階段嘅政改諮詢，並呼籲社會各界透過和平守法嘅方式理性討論，求同存異，把握機會，讓全港500萬合資格選民能夠喺2017年以一人一票嘅方式，歷史性第一次選出行政長官。我深信呢個係全香港市民嘅期望，亦都係最適合香港發展嘅安排。各位市民、各位新聞界朋友，香港係我哋嘅家，香港係尊重法治、多元、包容嘅社會。我哋表達意見一向喺法治、和平同埋有序嘅情況下表達。我同特區政府全體同事一定全力維護香港嘅安定，保障大家嘅權利，發展香港嘅民主。I shall now do a quick recap in English. I and my government have all along been listening attentively to the views of the members of the public. The public are encouraged to express their aspirations peacefully, rationally, and lawfully, and to respect and accommodate different views in the society. The Hong Kong SAR government is resolute in opposing the unlawful occupation actions by Occupy Central. The police shall continue to handle the situation in accordance with the law. NPCSC's decision on Hong Kong's constitutional development has been made in strict accordance with the relevant provisions of the Basic Law and after detailed and careful deliberation of the actual situation of Hong Kong and the views of the various sectors of the community. It is legally binding. The NPCSC has decided that the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region elect its chief executive starting from 2017 by universal suffrage. This is an important step towards the constitutional development of Hong Kong and is surely better than a stalemate. I and my government will, in accordance with the basic law and the relevant decision of the NPCSC, try our very best to implement the election of Chief Executive by universal suffrage in 2017. The government will launch the next stage of the consultation on constitutional development shortly. Let me make an appeal to the various sectors of the community to engage in rational discussions through peaceful and lawful means so as to allow the 5 million eligible voters in Hong Kong to elect the Chief Executive in 2017 for the first time in Hong Kong's history by one person, one vote. 我現在請政務司司長為大家講下有關政改嘅問題。
各位香港市民、各位新聞界嘅朋友，由我律政司司長同埋政制及內地事務局局長3個組成嘅政改諮詢專責小組，由舊年10月成立以嚟咧，差唔多有1年嘅工作啦。喺我哋嘅工作過程裏邊咧，我哋不斷咁提醒自己，我哋係要為香港落實普選行政長官咧而努力嘅。但喺呢個過程裏邊咧，我哋都係反覆強調，香港嘅政治體制嘅改革咧係一件大事，佢亦都涉及到中央同埋特區嘅關係，咁所以必須要係符合憲制上同埋法律上嗰個要求。唯有係咁樣咧，我哋先能夠確保香港嘅民主發展係符合到一國兩制嘅政策方針。經過咗5個月嘅首輪嘅諮詢咧，我哋完成咗呢個公眾諮詢嘅報告，讓行政長官可以喺7月15日啟動政改5部曲嘅第一步，向全國人大常委會提交呢個報告。全國人大常委會亦都好似剛才行政長官所講，喺考慮到香港嘅意見、各界嘅反應同埋通盤考慮之後咧，喺8月31日作出咗呢個重大嘅決定。呢個重大嘅決定咧，就令到香港可以喺2017年開始咧，喺行政長官嘅產生辦法咧，係以普選嚟到去進行。呢個正正咧係回應到廣大市民嗰個熱切嘅期盼。咁所以我希望呢個人大常委會嘅決定，一個符合基本法、符合相關早前全國人大常委會嘅決定，亦都係回應市民嘅訴求嘅決定咧，可以俾我哋有一個新嘅起點嚟到去落實喺2017年普選行政長官。喺下一階段嘅工作咧，亦都係所謂嘅第2輪嘅公眾諮詢咧，係一個非常之有重要性嘅諮詢嘅工作。可能有啲人話：喂，大局都已定啦，仲諮詢嚟做乜嘢咧？其實行政長官剛才呼籲大家咧，係要積極參與呢個第2輪嘅諮詢嘅工作咧，係有重大嘅意義嘅。儘管全國人大常委會係定咗嗰個框架，同埋喺一啲核心嘅元素作出一啲清晰明確嘅決定，但係喺選舉嘅過程裏邊咧，仲有好多具體嘅細節係需要我哋詳細咁同市民嚟到去討論嘅。我哋嘅目標咧係要辦一場公平、公開、公正、透明度高，而且係富競爭性嘅選舉。而家睇落嚟，起碼有3個層面咧。呢個選舉咧係富有競爭性嘅。第一，當然係呢1200人嘅提名委員會嘅組成。呢個提名委員會要選出2017年嘅行政長官咧，佢而家係未組成嘅。咁有咗呢個提名行政長官候選人嘅功能咧，我相信屆時有資格參與提名委員會選舉嘅人士咧，將會係好熱切咁去積極希望爭取喺1200人嘅提名委員會裏邊一個席位。第2個層次嘅競爭咧，就係我哋係會盡量讓有志之士能夠爭取到成為一個參選人，能夠去爭取到提名委員會提名佢哋成為呢2至3名嘅行政長官嘅候選人。咁喺呢個過程裏邊咧，我哋亦都係希望能夠俾提名委員會可以詳細考慮到市民嗰個意見，而作出呢個咁重要嘅任務，去提名呢2至3名嘅候選人。咁第3個層次，當然當有2至3名行政長官嘅候選人出現嘅時候咧，就由約500多萬合資格嘅選民咧，就可以一人一票直接去選出呢位行政長官啊。咁所以呢個工作咧係富有競爭性，我哋亦都會咧以一個最高嘅透明度、面向公眾嘅方式咧嚟到去推行呢個工作。咁所以我喺呢度呼籲咧，立法會嘅議員 社會嘅各界以至到廣大嘅市民呢，係要積極參與我哋第2輪嘅公眾諮詢嘅工作嚇。多謝大家。
現在請保安局局長。
各位市民、各位傳媒朋友，相信喺過去1週裏邊，大家從媒體或者親眼，亦都睇得到有不同嘅團體喺香港不同嘅地方，特別喺添馬公園、立法會嘅示威區，合法、和平、有序咁樣舉行公眾集會，表達佢哋嘅意見。遺憾嘅係喺星期5晚，突然之間發生咗衝擊、強闖嘅事件，有多人受傷。法治係香港繁榮穩定嘅基石，市民係可以表達意見，但係不能夠違反法律，使用暴力，罔顧他人安全。當有違法行為發生嘅時候，我哋係必須要採取適當嘅行動嚟到去制止嘅。咁稍後呢，警務處長會向各位再作進一步嘅介紹。多謝各位。
請警務處長。
各位香港市民、各位新聞界嘅朋友，相信大家亦都喺過去幾天呢，喺電視畫面上咧睇到香港發生咗咩事，以至於今天喺香港發生咗咩事。咁就我想係同大家喺呢度咧交代一下幾宗我諗公眾都比較關心嘅事件，包括咧喺星期5咧9月26號喺晚上咧係有大概係200名嘅示威人士喺集會期間咧突然咧衝擊政府總部同埋立法會大樓嘅。咁呢個示威人士嘅衝擊咧造成多人受傷，包括示威者本身啦、政府總部嘅保安人員啦，以至在場咧維持秩序嘅警務人員嘅。警方咧當時咧即時採取咗行動，並先後咧共拘捕咗74人，同時咧亦都向另外132人咧係發出咗警告。咁被捕嘅人士裏邊咧，除咗3名我哋相信涉嫌組織該次非法嘅衝擊行動嘅人士之外咧，其餘咧已經係保釋外出㗎啦。咁咧就警方咧譴責呢啲危害公眾安全、破壞公共秩序嘅違法嘅行為。並且咧，我亦都重申，警方會對呢啲暴力嘅行為咧採取果斷嘅措施去處理，以便咧盡快恢復公共秩序，保障公共安全嘅。至於而家咧喺添美道政府總部附近嘅集會咧，係一個非法嘅集會。警方再次呼籲市民咧唔好去參與呢個非法嘅集會，亦都呼籲咧現時喺集會嘅公眾人士咧盡快離開。同時，我亦都呼籲咧，因為現場咧係交通因為有改道，亦都封路措施咧，亦都呼籲其他公眾人士咧避免前往該區嘅。至於剛才我同大家講嘅被捕70多名人士咧，佢哋係因為係強行進入政府建築物，喺公眾地方擾亂秩序嘅行為、襲警、普通襲擊、非法集結，以至於咧係藏有攻擊性武器咧係被捕嘅。另外，至於較早時喺今早咧，警方喺非法集會嘅現場附近咧，截獲咗一批咧，相信係用作非法集會音響用途嘅器材。咁期間咧有在場嘅人士啦，阻礙警方執法。咁警方咧喺警告無效之後咧，就係拘捕咗咧當時5名人士，以阻礙警務人員執行職務嘅罪名係拘捕嘅。多謝大家。
好，而家係提問嘅時間。好，俾我咪指益3個位，第2行。
你好，明報何曉芹，想問一問呢，其實即係而家出邊嘅情況，警方都強調係會果斷執法啦。咁警方會唔會為咗清場而出動催淚彈或者或者可唔可以解釋翻點解過去呢2日都有出動防暴隊？呢個係咪梁生你落嘅指示嚟㗎？唔該。
我同埋特區政府嘅高層咧，絕對信任警方嘅專業判斷、佢哋嘅專業訓練同埋佢哋執行佢哋嘅任務嗰個專業性嘅。 警務處長。
好。警方對於武力使用呢係有嚴格嘅限制，當然就係會係如果真係有需要呢，係只會使用最低所需嘅武力。咁我哋會按呢個原則啦。咁因此呢，我再次呼籲呢，在場人士係以合法嘅和平同有秩序嘅方式嚟進行相關活動。而家正進行緊非法活動嘅呢，我再次呼籲佢哋離開。
OK， 好，下一個問題。好，白衫呢位先生。
你好，香港電台彭德章，想問下其實特首同埋即係司長啦，同埋係點樣睇今次即係學生運動？你哋對佢哋呢個運動有咩評價？即係過往其實特首你都會有曾經接觸過黃之鋒、林鄭月娥都接觸過嘅。你會點樣睇一個即係學生帶起嘅運動？即係佢哋除咗禮拜五即係去返一個佢哋曾經集會嘅地方之外咧，喺面對警方即係一啲嘅清場行動時候都冇用過話啲乜嘢嘅武力。你點樣睇呢班學生？同埋梁生，你喺2年前喺特首選舉嘅時候咧，就曾經否認講過香港有一日咧會出動防暴警察，但係呢幾日都似乎發生咗。你當時話冇講過，究竟係你即係講大話，定係你到今日回心轉意呢
？2年前講嘅事呢，我當日已經講嘅好多啦嚇。香港警察嘅調動呢，係完全係根據嗰個情況嘅需要，而且呢，我剛才亦都再重申過一次，我哋係絕對信任警方佢哋嘅專業判斷。佢哋嘅專業訓練同埋專業水平嘅。至於點樣睇學生嘅運動呢？咁過去我都多番講過嚇，無論係大學同學或者係中學同學，我同埋特區政府高層呢都相當欣賞同埋肯定佢哋對社會時事嘅關心。咁但係無論係佢哋關心嘅時事係啲咩問題呢？都要喺一個合法和平理性嘅環境底下呢係進行。就政改呢個問題呢，亦都希望大家同學能夠知道，基本法20幾年前就已經頒布啦。開始起草嘅時候呢，大概係30年前，咁頒布咗基本法呢，裏邊就政改點樣進行呢，都有咗明確嘅規定。我哋要落實好一人一票普選行政長官呢，係需要根據基本法嘅規定同埋人大常委會有關決定，我哋先至可以呢係落實到嘅。
OK， 好。This gentleman in the back.
RTHK. Mr. Leung, you said that all along you've been listening attentively and you appeal to make for people to have rational discussion. Would that include you having a rational discussion with the students and meeting them in the future? And the Commissioner of Police, I was wondering if you could explain the rationale for allowing OC foam or pepper spray to be used on unarmed protesters.
We try to listen to all sectors of the community, and you can see that in the past few months, both myself and members of the 3-person group responsible for constitutional development in government have been using various means and forms to meet with different parts of the community. And I personally have done a few of those as well. And insofar as the students are concerned, I have had meetings with students from different parts of Hong Kong. As I said in my answer to the previous Chinese question, it is important that we engage all parts of the community, including young students, in a rational manner. And insofar as consultations on the question of constitutional development is concerned, it is also important to bear in mind that we have to operate within the framework of the stipulations of the Basic Law and the National People's Congress Standing Committee's decisions, because these are the legal and constitutional frameworks for Hong Kong's constitutional developments to go forward in.
OK， 各位 ，yes， 處長。
Now, about the use of force, police has very strict guidelines on the use of force, and will only use force when it's necessary, and ensure that only the minimum necessary force is used. Members of public would no doubt be able to see from the footage of the news report, for instance, of the acts of those demonstrators or protesters who charged against the central government office, as well as the electrical building, resulting in injuries caused to both security guards, police officers, and the demonstrators themselves. Police has a duty to protect member public and will take action as necessary to ensure that this is done.
Okay, next question 係嗰位藍白衫嗰位先生。
你好啊，成報姚嘉華，想問下特首同埋林鄭嘅，就係學聯同埋學民思潮一直都要求同你哋對話啦。你會唔會覺得今次造成呢個衝突係因為你哋過去一個星期冇回應到佢哋嘅訴求呢？另外，我想問下警務處處長曾偉雄呢，就係今晚會唔會進行清場行動啊？唔該晒。
就單以過去一個星期為例呢，譬如以我本人嚟講下5日前嗰個星期二行政會議開會之前，我出到去大樓外邊係準備呢係聽每個星期二過嚟行會開會之前不同方面嘅市民嘅不同嘅訴求。當時有一班同學拉起呢個鐵馬衝出嚟，造成混亂嗰個場面啊！大家喺報章嘅圖片上，同埋喺電視台嘅畫面嗰度呢，都睇到呢類咁樣嘅環境呢，唔係一個好嘅理性嘅一個客觀環境，可以俾大家呢係理性對話嘅。
我想亦都講講啊，就係關於警方嘅行動細節呢，我哋係不方便公開，但係必須呢就係強調，對於違法嘅行為呢，我哋有責任，亦都需要依法處理。
OK， 好，下一個問題。OK， 各位戴眼鏡蘇生嗰位係先生係。
DBC 數碼電台。梁先生，我想請問嘅就係，因為其實警方呢兩日都呼籲市民唔好去政總嘅現場，但係我哋可以睇到咧係越嚟越多市民去嘅。你會唔會擔心話警方咁輕量武力嘅驅趕之下，會刺激到更加多嘅人去參與呢一場反政府嘅行動呢？
我同埋整個特區政府對警方嘅處理呢類場面嘅能力咧係抱有信心嘅。
OK，
係你好，香港電台想問翻呢，尋晚警方就喺中信大廈天橋度咧，將佢列為呢個警方行動區，於是清場啦。咁我想問下，警方將佢列為行動區嘅準則喺邊度呢？另外就係咁啊，今朝即係有拘捕泛民嘅人士，亦都係沒收咗啲音響啦。咁就話理由就係以佢哋啲音響係愛嚟做非法集會為由啦。咁請問係咪即係警方話，如果呢個係一個非法集會，佢哋可以採取任何嘅行動都可以呢？唔該。
警方所有嘅行動咧，都需要按法律嚟執行嘅。至於係有關封鎖中信泰富呢個大廈嘅天橋嗰度，行人天橋嗰度咧，係警方係基於係公共安全同埋公共秩序嘅考慮。至於係我哋係截取咗呢啲係音響嘅器材咧，因為我哋有理由相信相關嘅器材咧會係喺一個已經係非法嘅集會裏邊係用，而警方喺法律上有責任咧係防止罪案發生嘅，因此咧亦都係依法咧採取咗行動。
OK， 好，係深藍生呢位，戴眼鏡呢位係。
想蘋果想問翻即係梁生咧，你覺得即係你頭先話即係有聽到即係話有聽到即係市民意見咧，咁其實而家你點睇？即係咁多市民都係要出嚟即係抗議嘅，就係話你自己反映市民意見咧，有冇即係失職咧？因為如果你即係反映到唔會咁多人行出嚟去反對你噶嘛，咁呢個第一個問題啦。另外你點理解即係以前咧國民教育啲人都可以喺即係公民廣場即係政府總部出邊嗰個空地度示威啦？咁點解你要加個閘喺度，即係令到變咗佢哋要用一種所謂衝翻入去攞翻自己個公共空間嘅方式去示威咧？咁另外就係
大家睇到
另外就係曾偉雄先生想問翻就係黃之鋒同埋即係另外兩位學聯成員咧，即係被拘捕之後咧，到而家都即係不准獲釋啊，同埋亦都即係屋企咧，亦都即係被警方搜查。有啲人就覺得呢種做法係即係出於一個政治考慮，同埋係即係有別於常態。你可唔可以解釋下點解要到而家都唔放翻佢哋咧？
世界上唔同嘅地方咧，對政改問題或者啲憲制問題咧，都可以有比較大嘅分歧嚇，唔同嘅睇法。最近嗰一個月咧，大家睇國際新聞都睇到唔少咁嘅例子，香港亦都唔係例外。所以大家有唔同嘅睇法咧，呢個我覺得本身唔係一個咩大嘅問題。最重要嘅呢，就係我哋能夠求同存異，我哋嘅政制呢能夠向前發展。 同時重要嘅呢，就係持不同意見嘅人嚇，無論佢係支持社會上某個方案又好，反對社會上另一個方案也好，大家呢一定要用一個理性、平和、合法嘅方式嚟到表達自己嘅意見。大家知道香港嘅地方呢，地少人多，地少車多。香港市民大概自己冇咁樣嘅強烈感覺，但係好多外邊嚟嘅朋友呢，佢哋會好欣賞香港。雖然地少人多、地少車多呢，但係我哋嘅交通啊相當暢順，而嘅生活係比較便捷嘅。咁呢個呢，都係其實多得呢，我哋政府同埋其他有關嘅政府部門佢哋嘅設計啊同埋管理。至於你問嘅第二個問題嚇，大家知道我哋特區政府總部加嗰啲欄杆之前呢，喺離開我哋不遠嘅呢個立法會，喺6月6號同埋6月13號呢，係發生咗嚴重被衝擊嘅事件。呢個呢，大家喺過去嗰3幾月嘅時間裏邊呢，都不停喺電視畫面嗰度睇到嘅。
或者我想補充一句咧，就係喺我哋政府總部東翼嘅前地嚇，英文叫做 East Wing Forecourt 嗰度咧，並唔係一個你剛才引述嘅公共空間嚇，佢係屬於我哋政總管有嘅地方嘅一部分嘅嚇。佢有2個功能，第一，我哋而家仍然係保持住，如果有公眾人士或者立法會議員係需要經過呢個東翼前地去進入去立法會大樓咧，呢個係保持住係冇改變嘅，但佢只係一個通道嘅作用啊。第二咧，就喺星期日同埋公眾假期咧，行政處長仍然係會批准一啲申請嚟到喺呢個地方裏邊咧舉辦一啲公眾嘅活動，尤其是一啲要向政府去表達一啲訴求嘅公眾嘅活動。但係呢個核准嘅機制咧，喺平時間，即係話唔係喺星期日同埋公眾假期咧，係並不存在嘅嚇。
OK， 好，
我講翻就係有關係3名咧係仍然係被扣查嘅人士嗰個情況啦。正如我頭先講啦，呢3名人士呢係因為咧涉嫌咧係組織呢次嘅非法衝擊嘅行動，仍然係接受緊調查。咁咧就係當然我哋喺個調查嘅方向咧，一定要按嗰個案情嘅性質嘅。咁亦都有人咧係承認過呢次嘅衝擊咧係有個預謀嘅。咁因此咧，我哋認為咧需要咧採取相關嘅搜查嚟到去搜集相關證據。
係嗰位女記者。
係商台記者馬秀全啊。其實咧咁多位同學仔之前嘅4日佢哋嘅集會都係好和平啦。其實當時佢哋都有擺到張摺凳係邀請你哋出嚟同佢哋對話。咁點解當時你哋唔對話呢？要去到星期5佢哋衝擊咗之後啦，然後就不停話佢哋唔理性。咁嚟到唔理性嘅時候呢，就話佢哋呢一個行為係違法嘅。咁其實點解你覺得你哋政府有幾大嘅誠意呢？究竟？
政府喺過去諮詢期當中呢，我本人尤其係政改3人組，佢哋花咗大量嘅精力時間去聽大家嘅意見，然後寫咗呢一個報告俾中央，亦都向全社會公開嘅。呢個工作已經做咗，人大決定已經出咗嚟，我哋係應該係向前行嘅。呢個時候呢，提出要推翻人大決定或者請人大呢收回呢個決定，係咪一個合理嘅做法？係咪一個有建設性嘅做法呢？就呢個問題，大家係可以反思嘅。咁啊，至於有啲同學佢哋嘅行動喺星期5之前呢，大家亦都可以回顧一下星期2嘅電視畫面，就係我剛才講嘅行政會議開會之前，有同學呢拉起啲圍欄又衝出嚟，所造成嘅混亂。仲有星期4晚上喺禮賓府大門嗰個上亞厘畢道，有人呢個星期5朝早啦，有人衝出馬路嚇，嗰啲驚險鏡頭。咁我睇呢啲呢，大家都可以即係回顧一下同埋對照一下嘅。
Okay， 好，係呢位女記者，白生呢位。
唔好意思，喂，係
可以。
喂，文匯報㗎，想問翻呢，因為而家已經俾社會已經形容為咧，而家係撕裂緊啦兩方面。咁有冇衡量過咧未來嗰個第2次嘅諮詢嗰陣時候咧？咁如果係每一次諮詢都係用呢啲咁衝擊、咁即係激進嘅手法去做咧，咁對於你哋個諮詢期其實有咩影響同埋有咩挑戰？其實你哋有冇預計過㗎？
當然我哋唔希望當我哋進入去第二輪公眾諮詢嘅時候咧，會不斷出現你剛才講嗰種嘅場面，因為我深信咧，全港市民同嗰個意願係一致嘅，都希望能夠喺2017年咧落實普選行政長官嚇。而我哋喺籌備第二輪嘅公眾諮詢裏邊咧，我剛才開場白都講咗，我哋亦都希望咧係將一啲具體選舉程序嘅細節咧係俾市民嚟到去討論。咁所以我深信絕大部分市民，如果佢都係真係希望喺2017年能夠投下一票嚟到選出下一任行政長官咧，佢會對我哋今次第二輪嘅諮詢咧係有一個積極參與嘅意欲嘅嚇。咁但係當然，如果係發生有一啲衝擊嘅場面咧，呢個我哋喺第一輪嘅時候咧，亦都係有預見得到。咁我哋到時咧就會適當咁處理啦嚇。
OK， 好，係各位戴眼鏡嗰位。
即係想問
講講你嘅媒體啊，唔該。
《東方日報》嘅，想問翻呢，因為而家社會氣氛呢，即係都幾嚴峻啦，咁就有聲音呢，就建議政府押後第二輪階段諮詢啦，咁就等即係社會可能冷靜落嚟先繼續討論啦。咁想問下政府會唔會考慮咁做啦？同埋想問翻警務處處長呢，因為今日都係假期嘅最後一日啦，咁聽日呢，就即係啲人就要翻工啦。想問下呢，警方今晚呢，會唔會有呢個行動確保翻即係聽日可以即係安全咁樣翻工咁？唔該。
正如行政長官喺開場白講咧，我哋仍然係嘅希望可以喺短期內盡快啟動第二輪嘅諮詢，因為大家都記得啦，喺政改5部曲裏邊咧，而家我哋要準備進入去係第3步嘅。喺往後，如果我哋能夠喺第3部曲得到立法會全體議員2/3嘅通過，得到行政長官嘅同意，再提交俾全國人大常委會批准之後咧，仍然有大量嘅即係本地立法嘅工作要做。同埋一啲選舉提名委員會組成嘅工作要做，咁所以要趕得及喺2017年可以普選行政長官呢個時間表係相當緊湊嘅嚇。咁所以我哋希望社會亦都係和平理性冷靜咁咧去參與第二輪呢個公眾諮詢嘅工作。
或者我講講係而家示威人士對交通嘅影響咧，相信大家都知道已經係造成咗一定嘅影響。咁如果呢啲非法嘅示威嘅行動係持續到明日咧，肯定嘅影響係更加嚴重。咁因此咧，我喺度咧再次呼籲咧，係正在參加呢啲非法集會嘅人士，盡快離開。其他嘅公共人士咧，唔好再去啦，亦都唔希望佢哋再參加啦。咁當然警方亦都有責任咧，係去恢復社會秩序，會視乎當時情況採取適當行動。
好，係呢位女記者。
Thank you. Well, Mr. Leung, I would like to ask, you made it clear you won't be meeting students. What about the Occupy Central organizers? Would you meet them? And would you consider rewriting the reform proposal? If not rewriting, maybe a supplement of the reform proposal? And for Mr. Zhang, I would like to ask, how do you define violence by the students? They're not armed. They're not throwing stones towards the police. So how do you define that? And how do you respond to people saying that, well, that's an overuse or misuse of power from the police? Thank you.
Let me start by reiterating a very key provision in the Basic Law, which is not often and not entirely understood. For Hong Kong to adopt universal suffrage as a means to elect the chief executive, we need 2/3 majority in the Legislative Council in Hong Kong, the consent of the chief executive, and importantly, the approval of the National People's Congress Standing Committee. Now, let me say this again, because more than once, influential and otherwise knowledgeable political figures in Hong Kong have, for reasons unknown to me, misconstrued this provision. They have said publicly that it's a matter for reporting to the National People's Congress Standing Committee. And the NPCSC, the National People's Congress Standing Committee, is now moving the goalposts by requiring approval. It's not true. It is there in black and white. It is paragraph 7 of Annex 1 to the Basic Law. We do need the approval of the NPCSC. The NPCSC, having listened to the views in Hong Kong, both indirectly and directly, both in Hong Kong and on the mainland, have made their decision on the 31st of August. If Hong Kong wants to move forward and have universal suffrage, and this could be as early as 2017, we have to operate on the basis of the NPCSC's decision, because it is a requirement in the basic law, if we want to do it. If we want to operate outside of the basic law, then we shan't have universal suffrage in 2017. So it is important for us to understand that. Now that the NPCSC has made this decision, I myself and my colleagues in government are very happy to engage, I'm sure we will as soon as the second round of consultation starts, engage all sectors of Hong Kong community to discuss as to how we could go forward. Now, it is not very constructive to say that the starting point of any engagement is to set aside the National People's Congress Standing Committee's decision, because it is not up to us to set aside the NPCSC's decision. So I think it is a very important starting point. 最重要嘅呢，就係我哋願意同任何人傾，但係嗰個前提係乜嘢呢？就真係可以讓香港嘅政制能夠向前行，讓香港可以喺2017年開始呢，有一人一票嘅普選行政長官呢個方式。任何人如果佢提出佢就話要傾嘅前提呢，就係要撤銷人大常委會嘅決定咁我相信呢個呢並不符合基本法，不符合香港嘅憲制安排。
Yeah. Other than considering the fact that the protesters who charge against the central government office and the electrical buildings are by and large unarmed, I believe it is also important to consider the fact that many others were injured by the act as a result, including over 10 security guards working for the central government office and a number of police officers, as well as a number of protesters themselves. I believe to try to tie act of violence to whether or not one is armed is a rather unwise proposition.
OK， 時間關係，我容許多兩條問題。嗰邊嗰位戴眼鏡嗰位先生。
係想問司長咧，即係你之前咧喺前幾個月前就話咧，即係政改希望行一條中庸之道，咁但係最後出到嚟個結果係咁樣，而大家又好唔滿意，跟住而家個社會又越嚟越分化激進咁，即係你會唔會現喺 hindsight 覺得即係當時特區政府做嘅工作可能係唔足夠咧？咁同埋即係就話你哋喺人大決定之後係有一個鋪，其實個鋪會唔會公開，同埋有冇其他數據可以講，即係有幾多人係支持人大嗰個決定？咁同埋即係而家外邊嘅情況，我見個封路都越嚟越闊啦。咁但係差唔多每一個封路嘅 roadblock 前面都有紮人喺度，即係想問下處長。即係喺咁嘅形勢之下，會唔會驚發展成一啲打遊擊，或者每次假期要封路咁，即係沒完沒了咁點樣可以？即係警方嘅行動會唔會間接就令到件事更加難以解決咧？
你可唔可以介紹下你
？China Daily。
我哋喺政改諮詢嘅首輪嘅工作裏邊呢，其實最重要嘅咧就係要揾到有一條路。可以俾我哋落實到喺2017年普選行政長官。喺嗰5個月嘅諮詢期，以至到我哋後期做咗嘅公眾諮詢報告呢，我哋係如實咁將喺香港聽到嘅意見呢，係向中央反映嘅。其中有一啲比較普遍，大家都認同嘅意見呢，就係大家真係好希望喺2017年可以普選行政長官。大家亦都接受呢，要普選行政長官呢，必須要按住基本法同埋全國人大常委會嘅規定嚟到做，大家亦都基本上係認同呢一位行政長官呢係需要獲得中央信任，係一位愛國愛港嘅人士。但係去到其他嘅議題呢，我哋並冇刻意去隱瞞，甚至我哋係清楚咁喺公眾報告裏邊講呢，就係我哋收到嘅意見呢係相當不同，亦都有一定嘅紛紜。咁亦都係我相信中央全國人大常委會喺 喺考慮咗呢啲意見之後呢，就作咗一個決定，就住一啲核心嘅議題呢，佢係要做一個清晰明確嘅決定，有利於我哋喺下一階段呢可以求同存異、凝聚共識，然後達至到2017年嗰個普選行政長官。呢個亦都係我哋今日嗰個嘅立場。我哋會努力喺下一階段嘅諮詢工作呢，去循住呢個方向嚟到做。
就我想講咧，就喺公眾活動裏邊呢，係會否對其他公眾人士造成嚴重影響呢？個關鍵呢，往往就係喺參與呢啲公眾活動嘅人士能否以一個合法嘅、和平有秩序嘅方式嚟到進行相關活動，包括頭先呢位記者朋友講嘅所謂野貓式嘅示威行動。香港係一個係崇尚奉公守法嘅社會。如果大家留意下數字，我哋過去幾年呢，每年呢都係以千計嘅呢啲公眾活動，絕大部分嘅參與人士都能夠用合法嘅、和平有秩序嘅方式進行呢啲活動。我亦都呼籲而家喺現場嘅人士呢，亦都考慮呢一點，同樣以一個合法嘅、和平有秩序嘅方式嚟到進行。
OK。
CY, my first question is
may you introduce your media?
I'm a reporter from South China Morning Post. Sorry.
So what's your name?
I'm Shirley. Right.
Shirley.
Yes. So my first question is, there are a lot of people saying by using pepper spray towards students, the government is encouraging more and more citizens to join the protests. What's your view on this? And my second question is related to Professor Wang Zhenmin. He is a Chinese professor and he is the former Basic Law Committee member. He said that by not granting Hong Kong full democracy, it is to safeguard Hong Kong's tycoons' interests. Do you agree with this opinion? If you agree, can you tell me in what areas have Hong Kong's property tycoons and business cartels benefited the society as a whole? And my third question is, the government has been saying that the NPC's decision cannot be retracted. What's the reason behind this? And have you been telling the NPC about many Hong Kong people's demand for full democracy? If you haven't, why not? And have you told the NPC or Beijing that by not giving Hong Kong people what they want, it will only turn the Hong Kong society more unstable? Thank you.
You asked a long series of very complex questions. Which one would you like me to start with? Full democracy? Right. Now, whether it's the question of relationship between Hong Kong and the central authorities, or the question of the electoral arrangements within Hong Kong, again, and I do have to underline this, we have to operate within the framework of the Basic Law. The Basic Law is both a national law and a Hong Kong law. And it was promulgated after 5 years of consultation between 1985 and 1990, and was promulgated in 1990. It is a very important cornerstone for Hong Kong's stability and prosperity. It also enshrines all the major principles of one country, two systems, Hong Kong people ruling Hong Kong with a high degree of autonomy. You use the word full democracy. The term is obviously subject to different interpretations. But let me just highlight one point for you in the context of your question. And this is the fact that Hong Kong is a democracy. Hong Kong is a democracy within the concept of one country and two systems. So in that sense, Hong Kong is not a self-contained democracy, because whatever method we use to elect or select the chief executive, at the end of the day, the elected candidate requires the appointment of the central government. Now, that additional step in electing or selecting chief executive is not common in other jurisdictions. So one can't make a direct comparison between what we are achieving to what exists in other jurisdictions. And I think it is important to bear that in mind. You asked the question of the interests of the various sectors in Hong Kong. And again, it is an important concept in the design of the political structure in Hong Kong, which is again in the basic law, that we give balanced participation to all sectors in Hong Kong. So while different people may have different views as to what is balanced participation, the design of the political structure in the basic law differentiates itself from other designs of political structure in other jurisdictions in that it's not just a question of counting the number of votes or voters, and it is in the basic law, 均衡參與. Insofar as the NPCSC's decision is concerned, to move forward, we have to do it on the basis of the NPCSC decision. And we'll also have to bear in mind the fact that even if we decided to start the entire process again, would we have enough time to implement universal suffrage in 2017? I think that's a valid question. Because at the end of the framework decision within Hong Kong and the passage of a motion by 2/3 supermajority of Legislative Council, we need to enact or amend legislations, and that's time-consuming too. And we do have a date in mind, and this date on the calendar is 2017, and not 2018 or 2019. And I think it is important for me to again highlight this. If you look at the stipulations of the NPCSC decision that came out on the 31st of August and compare these to what we now have, essentially a 1,200 election member electoral college election, I think any fair-minded person will be able to come to the conclusion that the proposed method of electing chief executive by universal suffrage in 2017 is more democratic. It may not be ideal compared to the individual's own proposition or design, but it is better and a lot better than what we now have. So it would be a pity if Hong Kong as a whole, or more than 1/3 of the members of the Legislative Council decide to stand still. And my own position, which I shared with members of the community, is that we should move forward. It is also important to note that nothing in the basic law suggests that this is the only and the last chance that we change the method of election. I think we should take this step forward, and then after 2017, if Hong Kong people so agree, and if we believe that there's improvement to be made to the system, then we still could. There's nothing in the basic law to stop us from doing it.
Or you move it out.
Safeguard Hong Kong tycoons' interests by not granting Hong Kong unchecked democracy?
I'm not quite sure whether you just gave me an entirely accurate quote of what he said, but let me just share with you my own position. If you look at the housing and land policy of this government, which came into office 2 years ago, you agree that we have the health of the property market in mind, and we have the need of the people in mind. If you look at the supply policies of the government, if you look at the demand management policies of the government, you know in whose interest we work.
Okay. 你問過其實。
記者會會議啦。另外喺電視畫面睇到示威者已經係衝出咗去金鐘嘅干諾道中。其實你會唔會覺得香港已經面對緊一個嘅危機，而政府喺政改呢件事嘅立場嘅堅持係咪值得呢一啲嘅犧牲呢？同埋可唔可以林司長都答翻，即係點樣睇今次學生運動？啱啱冇答到，唔該晒。
我哋為咗香港嘅穩定同埋繁榮呢，我哋一定喺我哋嘅法制之內嚟到去制定我哋嘅政策執行我哋嘅措施。 每一件事呢，我都要根據香港嘅法律，咁呢個當然亦都包括我哋嘅基本法。政改嘅問題呢，喺任何一個社會都可以有好多唔同嘅睇法。任何一個方案比起個人嘅一個方案呢，都會有一個落差。咁呢個唔單止香港係咁樣，唔單止今天香港係咁樣。大家如果記得嘅話呢，有翻咁上下年紀嘅朋友記得我哋85年到90年，我哋制定基本法嗰個政治體制嘅時候呢，社會上都有好多唔同嘅睇法。喺海外嘅社會對政制問題、對選舉制度嘅問題呢，亦都有好多唔同嘅睇法。咁所以呢個我覺得呢，亦都可以話喺政改呢啲問題上呢，我哋應該可以預期嘅一件事。個問題就係話，無論係支持嘅或者反對嘅呢，都需要用一啲理性嘅、和平嘅、非暴力嘅方式嚟去表達自己嘅意見。尤其重要嘅呢，我哋係必須根據我哋嘅憲制，根據我哋嘅基本法同埋根據香港嘅法律嚟到辦事嘅。佢哋已經衝出咗馬路上，會即係部分啲人就話想入去集會，亦都有人話想入場地啦。其實你可唔可以正面回答？佢哋已經出咗馬路，點造成影響？我過去都多番講過，我哋呢十分願意聆聽社會上各個方面嘅聲音。最重要嘅呢，就係喺一個有建設性、理性、和平嘅前提底下。如果嗰個前提係話要推翻人大作嘅決定嘅話呢，我本人同埋特區政府呢都冇權力係脫離人大常委會嘅決定呢嚟到去執行香港嘅政改嘅。
Do you think that by using pepper spray on Hong Kong students, the government is encouraging more and more people to join the protest?
The police in Hong Kong is a very open society, which means that we do receive news from other parts of the world as well. Anyone who makes comparison between the work of the police force in Hong Kong, which is one of the best in the world, to those used by other police forces in other parts of the world, I think we'll come to a conclusion that on the question of crowd control and crowd management, the Hong Kong police force exercises very, very high degree of constraint. And I and my government have full confidence in the professionalism of our elite police force.
OK， 哇！
我對香港警隊佢哋嘅專業能力呢有充分嘅信心。
OK，
可能有啲傳媒朋友都記得啦，我都曾經接受過一啲傳媒嘅專訪，裏邊都提過，我係做大學生嘅年代呢，都有參與一啲社會嘅運動嘅。咁所以好似剛才行政長官講呢，對於大學生關心時事，表達佢哋嘅睇法，俾政府或者社會嘅其他界別嘅人士知道佢哋嘅睇法呢，我覺得呢個都係值得認同嘅。但係呢個必須要喺合法、和平、理性嘅環境之下進行，而且我真係喺呢度呼籲呢，喺表達呢啲意見、進行呢啲運動嘅時候呢，一定唔好傷害到自己啦，更加唔好傷害到關心佢哋嘅父母啊，同埋係佢哋嘅教師或者佢哋嘅校長啊。
我諗
Well, the police has very clear guideline on the use of force, and we make sure that we will only use force when it's necessary, and only the minimum necessary force is used. Thank you. 我諗守法係一個公民責任嚟。
我諗個記者會應該要係差唔多結束啦，因為已經不斷有問問題。
就政改呢問題呢，正如剛才所講，一呢，我哋應該相信2017年根據人大常委會嘅決定，嗰個政改係比現在我哋用嘅1200人選舉委員會嘅選舉呢係更加民主，係一個相當大嘅一個跨越嚟嘅。而且之後呢，基本法亦都冇規定，就話呢個呢係唯一一次 政改，我哋日後咧唔可以再有啲完善嘅做法。咁因此呢個係一個好重要嘅前提嚟嘅。如果你要2017年有普選嘅話呢，我哋只能夠喺人大常委會呢個決定嘅基礎上面呢係執行。任何要求對話嘅前設就係要人大常委會撤回呢個決定。第一呢，特區政府我本人或者任何一個特區人士呢都冇咁嘅權力。第二呢，對我哋2017年落實普選呢係毫無幫助嘅嚇。多謝。
OK， 好多謝咁多位出席今日嘅記者會，多謝晒。